There's a lot of news when it comes to chips.
Yeah.
Cerebras shares are lower. Amy just sharing that with us. SK Hynix seeking 45.45 trillion won. That's about $29.4 billion. In a U.S. listing, it's tapping investor demand for high-flying memory chip stocks, even after a major sell-off shook the group this week. Shares of Qualcomm are down more than 5%. The company says a data center will deliver billions in revenue in fiscal year 2027. It
Drum
says
roll,
too
then.
that
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, there's more.
Drum roll.
Yeah, go
right?
ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
Micron. We're like coming out after the closing bell, and you have been reminding us that every guest that we've had, market guest, was it yesterday, all brought Micron up.
Well, Cameron Christ writing today that by his calculation, it's now the third most important stock in the world, trailing just Nvidia and Alphabet.
Let's see what Mandeep Singh has to say about that. He's Bloomberg Intelligence Global Head of Technology Research here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio. Do you agree?
I mean, right now, I think we are in an environment where memory shortage will continue to elevate these companies. They have an oligopoly. They haven't really increased the capacity. And to me, the parallels with the oil oligopoly and memory oligopoly are, quite similar in that sense. Like, oil prices go up, it leads to demand destruction. Memory prices going up will at some point, if you don't expand capacity, will lead to demand destruction. And that's why these company executives have to make a call. If they see the road to, 5 to 10 times more demand, why are they not increasing their capex and their capacity? And I think tonight we'll hear from Micron if they're actually raising their own capex to increase capacity. And that'll be crucial for me.
As I said, Cameron Christ wrote, by his calculation, it's the third most important stock in the world. There was a time when we talked about Nvidia earnings being like a macroeconomic event on par with a Fed decision or a Fed meeting. I mean, that was a year ago that analysts were talking about that. I asked Mike Contopoulos over at Janus Henderson the same question earlier. Can what we hear from Micron today make or break this cycle?
No. I mean,
he said the same thing.
At the end of the day, it's your LLM companies that control the frontier. I mean, yes, NVIDIA...
But they're the ones who are driving the demand.
They are the ones who are driving the demand. And, they are looking to raise as much capital as they can in terms of adding power, adding data center capacity. And really, with Mythos and some of the other models that have been talked about, what they're saying is we have reached a frontier where if we had, let's say, 10 times more compute, we'll be able to scale our revenue by 10x without even doing anything else. And that's the sort of confidence these companies have.
Who drives that revenue? Who is buying those services, especially at a time when we're increasingly hearing from companies that they're not necessarily seeing the ROI?
Well, I think the biggest data point is Anthropic's ARR growing from a $1 billion run rate to close to $50 billion run rate over a span of last 18 months.
I didn't even get my
We
head
have
around
never
that.
seen, you may argue the margins are, low and yes, they are burning a lot of cash, but we have, within the technology realm, we have never come across a company go from $1 billion to $50 billion in 18 months. It's never happened.
Help me understand, though. So Micron's about a $1.1 billion market cap company. I look at NVIDIA, which is about 4.7
trillion.
1.1 trillion.
Oh, did I say 1 point? No.
Yeah, 1.1 trillion.
Oh, 1.1 trillion. Forgive
Yeah.
me. Sorry. NVIDIA is about a 4.7 trillion. Sorry, I misread.
Yeah.
And then you've got Cerebras, which is what, about 40.7 billion. Like, help me understand Micron's role in this, in the AI build, in terms of what they do.
So there has been a big shift from training to inferencing over the past 12 months. And I would say when these LLMs were in training mode, they needed memory, but it was more about setting up the largest cluster of NVIDIA GPUs with adequate memory. With the shift to inferencing, the multiplier effect for memory has been for every GPU, I need 10 times more memory than I needed for training phase. So suddenly everyone has realized, gosh, if we need more context for these LLMs, what is the one thing you need? It's memory and more storage. which is why all these names have run up so much.
Including Micron.
Including Micron and even the storage names. I mean, look at Seagate, Western Digital. All these names are up, I think, a good 3,000, 4,000%.
It's kind of crazy. So the correction that we have been seeing as of late in them makes sense? Is it just the nervousness about the AI trade? Is that makes sense to you, or do you think?
Well, I go back to the point that I made earlier that, when you don't increase capacity, there comes a point when people are like, I know this technology is great, this tool is great, but the cost is too high for me to adopt it. And we may be hitting that point because the CFOs are getting concerned about the token budgets, and all of that has to do with the fact that typically when technology scales up, prices come down. That doesn't seem to be happening, and it's nowhere on the horizon. I don't think I can make a forecast for the next 6 to 12 months where prices for memory or storage will come down. These used to be commodities. So that's where the assumptions have to be reset.
Can I just ask you, we talk about in these semi-cycles that when you have such demand, prices go up, people ramp up and start to build out and increase the supply. Is it not happening?
It's not happening.
Are they going slow for a reason?
Just because they have scars from the prior cycle. So you ask the CEO of Micron and all these guys, they will tell you it's a cyclical industry. So we want to be measured with our supply expansion.
It's just like the energy market, like you said.
Yeah, before we run out of time, I want to just mention Qualcomm, down 5.6%. The company said Meta Platforms has agreed to use the chip maker's new data center processor in its infrastructure. It suggests that the company is gaining a foothold in the booming market for AI gear. Meta is going to use Qualcomm's Dragonfly C1000 chip and succeeding generations in its facilities. Qualcomm said the microprocessor will be available in 2028. What's your read on this? Why are shares lower too by 5.5%?
I mean, look, everyone is looking to tap into the data center opportunity. We had this news from OpenAI doing their own chips. So that chip market is getting crowded in terms of announcements. And then you have a stock like Cerebras dropping because, they have OpenAI as a customer. And that OpenAI is doing their own chips. So it's not very clear a new entrant like Qualcomm or OpenAI can really extract a lot of revenue on the chip side. I mean, you still have NVIDIA guiding to $1 trillion run rate, over the next 24 months. So from that perspective, I think the established players still have a huge lead. And yes, it's a large, attractive market, which is why you have so many announcements. But Meta doesn't have the leading LLM. If Qualcomm had added Anthropic as a customer, I bet you the stock would have been up. So that's the other aspect of it.
Qualcomm buy modular, is this a good thing? The confirmation just got about 20 seconds.
I mean, look, all of these announcements, I think the large addressable segment for me is still the data center opportunity. And that's where the established players have such a huge advantage, the likes of NVIDIA and Google TPUs, that everyone else may get a small pie. But to ramp up to that level that NVIDIA and Google TPUs are at, it's going to take a few versions of their chips to get there.
Not so easy, right?
Not so easy.